So Hot Takes, the hottest sports betting podcast on the planet.
I'm Sean.
I'm Luke.
And I'm Sam.
And welcome back to Not So Hot Takes, College Football Edition, Part 2.
College football.
Here we are,
Back.
after a fun Week 10 for some, for any of us, unfortunately, as fans.
Nope.
We move on to a Week 11 slate. Looking forward to it. We're going to try and find some value there. Do you guys want me to go through my picks first, or do anyone have anything to say before we get into it?
Dude, college football's on fire.
It is, man.
It's
College football's
incredible.
on fire. Do we want to talk about the new rankings real quick? Do we want to talk any thoughts on the new
Let's hit our
it
picks.
looked like a lot changed.
Should we hit our picks first?
Yeah, let's
You can hit
skim
whatever
through the
you want,
picks.
man.
I mean,
Let's hit our picks first, just so we can talk about what happened, and then we can go into why that happened in the polls.
Okay, Daddy.
Start with a game I didn't have a pick in, but I wanna lead off the pod with it. I think you guys know where I'm going. Penn State comes up short again. 20-13. Ugly game. I'm gonna put my phone down. I don't need to read anything about this game. I know exactly what happened.
You say 28-13?
No, 22-13.
Yeah, I think it's 28.
22-13 by 7. Not good enough. It's really. I mean, Weaver. I know you had a couple picks. If you want to read them off first, then we can get into the game.
No. Talk about your team. I mean, it's a tough. That was a tough game to watch. I mean, it felt like the game never felt like it was super over, but at the same time, it felt like it was over. Like it was from like at halftime, you could just once that interception in the end zone happened, when it deflected off the receiver and ended up being intercepted by what was it, Ignabosin?
Yeah.
That was tough. That kind of felt like it took a little bit of any wind you had out of your sails a little bit and came hard to come back from. Also, I know you guys – I don't know how you guys feel about James Franklin. James Franklin's a massive pussy. He's a huge pussy. Like bitching about fans in the press conference, getting in it with fans on the sideline. That's not – like that comes with the territory. That comes with the territory of being a head coach of a program – that is in the top 10 spotlight every year. Like, I understand that he's come up. He doesn't win the big games. He doesn't win the top 5 games. Penn State is consistently in the top 10 year in and year out. And now you're in a system where this loss, does it hurt? Yes. But does it mean a whole lot? No, because you're still going to – if you win out, you're still going to make the fucking playoff. Like, you may not win the Big Ten. Whoop-de-doo. You're going to be in the playoff competing for a national title. And that's that's more than 95% of college programs are going to say. And James Franklin is just – I mean, maybe he should have taken some time to respond before he went into that meeting. But holy, man, you cannot do – and that's just how you lose a fan base right there, is just shit-talking your own fans. Yeah, I know that, you're getting yelled at on the sideline. But at the same time, that is just that's not your place, and that's not your job as the head coach of a program, is to go out there and try to control a crowd or talk to people in the crowd after a loss.
I mean, I was there. Sorry for no updates. That place was jammed. I couldn't even access my phone. Start off so hot. They go down, they kick a field goal, which I wanted a touchdown, but then they have a pick six on the first play of the game. They read a little screen that they ended up using the entire game for big yards. I mean, we read the screen perfectly, pick six, and then we let them do it, I think, 9 or 10 times throughout the course of the game to pick up key first downs. Right before halftime, the pick, killer, and then you're on the 3-yard line. You run 3 times, and you're on the 1, fourth and goal. You don't die on that hill. Why the hell are you running a stupid RPO throwing in double coverage too high? But it sucks because Aller worked the pocket well. It's just a receiver problem. Me and Sean have talked about it, and Sean stresses it all the time. Our receivers don't get open. And I think Warren had 2 rushes and 1 target in the air, and the 1 target he had in the air was like 20 yards. They got him the ball 3 or 4 times. That's a guy you feed until Ohio State says, okay, we're going to either double him or we're just going to target him for coverage.
No, they did. They said that as soon as the game started, he was double bracketed the entire game. And why wouldn't you?
I understand that, but the creativity that Penn State was showing early in the game, they like the straight snaps to a running back, the straight snap to Warren that picked up a huge first down in the second quarter. Uh, why don't you run more of that? Like Luke said, I think Franklin's just a little soft. But I don't think you can completely put it on his shoulders that game. I mean, if your wide receiver has hands and not bricks, you go up at half. Um, if you just die on that hill, score another 7 points. I mean, everything looks better in hindsight, but Will Howard didn't look that good. He overthrew about 4 guys downfield that should have been auto touchdowns. So you could say a couple things go our way, we win that game by 10 or more. You say a couple things go the other way, and they win that game by 21 points. It's upsetting, but the thing I love is the defense looked good. There were a couple mishaps, but I mean, Carter was getting held every 2 seconds, every other play, and he was still managing to somehow get towards the backfield and apply a little bit of pressure. It sucks. I really wanted to win that game, but
It's hard. It's hard. I've been trying to articulate my thoughts over the last couple of days to multiple people, whoever will listen.
Whoever will lend an ear.
Yeah.
Or
I don't even know.
shoulder
I don't even
comment.
know if they're listening, but they'll sit there while I rant.
Maddie will listen. She was sending me Snapchats of you throughout the day.
Yeah. Yeah. They're just not. I don't know. Obviously, well, first of all, it's the receivers. Completely and utterly, it's on the receivers. That group is just not good enough. Man, they're not talented enough. And it's hard to be mad at them because I just don't think they're good enough. I don't think they recruited well enough. I don't think they've worked the portal well enough. I don't think that they've developed these guys well enough. I mean, Penn State has been consistently a place where good receivers, I mean, KJ Hamler, Chris Godwin, Deshaun Hamilton, like these guys are good college receivers. And now they can't develop a single one that's a D1 level receiver at this point. So now you have an offense that's completely set on throwing to your tight end that he's insanely talented, and he's probably the best all-around tight end, if not the best tight end in the entire country. But there's only so much you can do with a tight end when you're facing these all-world defenses that have athletic players on all 11 positions on the entire field. I mean, they're going to be able to stop one player. All you need is a second playmaker, and the whole game opens up. The whole offensive game opens up to another world that Penn State hasn't been in 2 or 3 years. You get inside the 5-yard line twice in the entire game, and you score 0 points on 2 drives that get in the 5. That can't happen. It can't happen. I don't care what level of football you're playing. I don't care if this is peewee football down the street. You got to score 1 point on those drives. I mean, you have a ball that hits your receiver in the hands, and it pops up in the air, and it gets picked off.
hit him in the chest.
Oh, hit him in the hands. That's the worst part. It hits him right here. He's looking up at it as he's falling out, and it pops off his hands straight into the guy. I mean, it simply can't happen. And then you have Tyler Warren with 3 minutes left, takes a direct snap and runs it 35. Your tight end makes a 30 to 35-yard run to set you up, to save the day. Your superstar shows up to save the day, gets you to the 3-yard line, and they run this stupid thing where they take their left guard and they put him at receiver and they bring him in motion, and he brings the cut block across the formation on a run play up the middle. Everyone on the planet knows you're running the ball when you do that. And you have your power back end, who's averaging 2.7 yards per carry on the day and over the last 3 weeks. And you run it 3 straight times, no creativity. You do the same thing 3 straight times. And then on 4th down, you take him off the field and you put in your other running back who you don't really want to run the ball with for some God-known reason, even though he's arguably the more talented back, and he's proved to be the more talented back. I don't know if he's still hurt or what's going on. So, and then you bring the guy in motion again, and everyone on the planet knows, they're not going to do it 4 times in a row. And so you run a flat pick route to your tight end that everyone knows the ball's going to on the short side of the field. So they just crammed their defense into that corner of the end zone, and there's no shot. And then all of a sudden, they let them run the ball all over you. I mean, the crazy part is that the superstars showed up. Abdul Carter looked like a superhero. It's his best game of the year. They can't block him. The only time they block him, they're holding him. I get you can't call all of them, but you got to call at least a couple of them. But that's beyond the fact, because we've heard about all week is the Ohio State line is not great. The Ohio State line is banged up. Nobody else can get pressure the entire game. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. There's zero pressure if it's not Abdul Carter. I mean, you have a guy, you're up 10-0 off a pick six. The game is there for you. The quarterback's rattled. The stadium's on fire. And you can't you score 3 points the rest of the game and you can't get a stop. I told you that. After 5 minutes, beyond the rest of the game, you score 3 points. I could have told you we were going to lose. It's unbelievable. I just they have to. And then I see clips of Stool saying, "Oh, it's terrible" by Penn State fans. "Oh, they're just terrible. Everyone would want to be where you are. Oh, you can't be mad. You can't be mad. You're going to make the playoff." Like if you are a fan of a team that got to the same point and hit the same ceiling 8 years in a row, and you're not allowed to voice that it's a little frustrating to lose to the same teams and not be able to break through the same ceiling every single year, I don't understand how you're not allowed to be frustrated with that. I understand it's great being a Penn State fan compared to being like, I don't know, like
Ball State,
anyone, Northwestern, obviously. No one's saying that that's not true. But to say you can't be frustrated that this team can't take one more step, like it's not like they're 3 steps away. They've lost to Ohio State by 1 possession in like 4 of the last 5 matchups. 2 of them in a row, they lost by 1 point. And then they're going to act like, oh, you can't be frustrated. It's a great spot to be. You'll make the stupid playoff that you'll just lose in the second round anyway. Oh, so it's going to be awesome. It's a great spot to be. No, it's not. You want to see them take steps and improve. I don't understand why we're supposed to be okay with a flat line of a program. That happens every single year. I'm not saying, that's why I'll never say you should fire Franklin. Of course, I wouldn't say that, because I understand it's fire him, and there's not a single guy in the world that you would hire and say, oh, we're definitely going to beat Ohio State now. Like, there's not a single guy on the planet. Maybe there's a couple guys out there that they would. I don't think there's a single guy that would genuinely be like, oh, it's a surefire shot. If we hire that guy, we will do better than we did with Franklin. But you just want to see this. You lose these games because you're just clearly like less talented in certain aspects. The linebackers did not show up on Saturday, and the wide receivers did not show up on Saturday, and you lost because of it. And that's it. That's it. They didn't even play that well. They didn't run all that great until the last drive. Will Howard fumbled through the end zone. Will Howard threw you a pick six for your only touchdown of the entire game, and you still lost again in the same way. I don't understand how you're not allowed to be frustrated with that. For what picks you have in that?
Clarification. Yeah. For that game, I had the wrong ones. Sadly, very sadly, I had the wrong ones. So for that one, I had Michigan not Michigan. I'm sorry, Penn State plus 4.5. Obviously did not hit. We could just went over that forever. Illinois plus 2.5. Obviously, just did not happen. Dropped to a Minnesota team. This is kind of where we're going to start seeing the trend now. I think it's time to back off the Fighting Illini. They kind of go through this every year. They kind of start off pretty strong. They hit that first really like big loss. Not a big loss because it's to Oregon, but an embarrassing loss. And then it kind of just snowballs from there. And then I had Michigan plus 15.5. Yo, fuck Oregon, by the way. Dan Lanning or whatever his name is. Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy. Right off. 15 seconds left in the game. All he's trying to do is just flex some fucking muscles. He's probably thinking about that picture of him and Taylor Lewan, of him dragging around the field like a puppy after they beat Ohio State. Fuck that guy. That would have been sick to have. Fuck that guy. Indiana minus 6.5. It's always the Hoosiers. It will always be the Hoosiers. I think the Hoosiers have a great possibility to. They're not going to beat Oregon, but I think they have a good shot at beating Ohio State next week. Then we got Texas A&M minus 2.5. Stupid pick. Stupid pick. All signs pointed to a major upset. Stupid pick. Florida plus 14.5. Kind of a little bit of a sweater. I mean, one on the hook, but Georgia. It was close to the very end. Georgia's got a last minute touchdown in there. But rivalry game, 14.5 points is a lot of points in that kind of a rivalry matchup. So didn't have a great week. Went 2-4 in college football after being Mr. College Football the week before. But I mean, we're only like a couple like different plays away from having a completely different record this week. So I mean, if fucking the Illinois quarterback, I forgot his name, Altmaier or whatever, doesn't fumble in the red zone on the last drive of the game, we cover and we're going home and we're happy. But it is what it is.
I'll steam through mine. I'll give all the credit to Sean where it's due. He told me to be wary of South Carolina because he's like, I don't know, dude, because I was A&M minus 2.5. They kicked the shit out of them, 44-20. All props to Sean there. Illinois, the fighting Farmers. It's time to burn the ship for this season. I will see you again next year. I love you. But I got to do it. I'm sorry. They lost. Vandy doubled down as the dog of the week. 17-7 against the shittiest program I've ever seen. Auburn. Yeah, I had them at plus 185 and plus 200. I doubled down on them. And I don't know why I'm missing my last pick here.
Texas Tech plus 13.5.
Goated.
And they went outright.
They went outright against Iowa State, who we said are frauds. Saw some guys talking about picking them as a money line too, and I thought they were smoking crystal meth because they were plus like 700. But give credit where credit's due.
Go through mine. If you watch the NFL episode, it went better this week, so it went better in college, so no apology on this episode. I went 4-3, not 0-8-1. I mean, whatever I did on NFL, you'll have to listen to that one to figure out. Starting off, Purdue plus 1.5. They lost in overtime. Could have went either way, honestly. They went for it on fourth down, even though they had the ball first in overtime. So I guess that really shows good faith in your defense. I know we kind of talked about that in the Seahawks game, but I mean, this is Purdue Northwestern. You'd think you'd have a little bit more faith in that your defense can stop Northwestern, but here we are. Next game, UTSA plus 7.5 at home against Memphis, and then I also had them at plus 240 as my dog of the week, and it hit. So, let's tell you what, when that hit, I thought I was going to have the week of the lifetime, and I did, just not the good lifetime. But yeah, they beat Memphis outright. UTSA is a team I've been high on. Their stats, they have not performed to where their stats are. Statistically, they're a decent team, and they keep blowing these games. I think the week before, I think they blew like a 38-point lead, so it felt like a spot where they were either going to get their shit together or they were going to phone it in. So I kind of went out on a limb, said they were going to get their shit together, and they did. So that was cool. Next, I had under 54.5 in Miami Duke. It ended at 84, so that did not hit. These Miami games are insane. I don't get it. They were down most of the game. They gave up 31 points to Duke, whose offense hadn't had a heartbeat since week -4. And Duke's defense is really good, and they put up 51 on them and gave up 31. Or put up 54 on them and gave up 31. So I don't understand Miami. Cam Ward's cool. That's all I really get. And Restrepo is pretty good too. But their defense, hoo-wee, they stink. I had Auburn minus 6.5.
God damn it.
What happened in that? Like, I don't First of all, they didn't give the ball to the guy who had 300 yards last week. And second of all, they kind of outperformed Vanderbilt.
Had 100 more yards. We allowed their quarterback to only complete 9 passes. They averaged 2.2 yards on the ground a play. Like, what the fuck?
I just don't get it.
2 for 13 on third down. The only touchdown we had was a bad pass by Peyton Thorne. Almost hit the ground, but Rivaldo Fairweather made a good grab and walked it down. Oh, my God. 12 touches to Jacquez Hunter. He started off the game, or he had a couple, like 1 yard, 2 yard, 3 yard. Then he had a 8-yard rush and a 5-yard rush and didn't touch the fucking ball till the fourth quarter when they dumped it off 3 times to him on the last drive of the game. What the fuck?
It's not like they got manhandled.
What the fuck? Our defense looks incredible. Our young players, Jay Crawford is the number 1 corner in the country right now for a freshman corner in the country right now. He is insane. Our defense our young guys on defense look so good. Like I've been saying this since I knew that like this year wasn't going to be our year, but I didn't think we were going to be this bad. But like next year, we have so many building blocks for next year. If we can just keep the transfer portal away from us, keep our players in, keep Canton Coleman in, keep Perry Thompson in, Malcolm Simmons, keep them in. I mean, we've been balling around KLS all year, but because that's our veteran presence in that wide receiver room. I mean, tying the SEC, he's tied in the SEC for receiving touchdowns right now. So we're still working around with him, but
You're all thinking.
Also, locked on.
Oh, hold on. Just before, I know what you're all thinking. Oh, KLS, wasn't he on Penn State last year? And now this whole first 20 minutes of the podcast was Sean and Sam complaining about Penn State's receivers? Yes. Moving on. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
I remember whenever we got him in the portal, you're like, it's fine. He had like 6 touchdowns in the first 3 games and it didn't do anything the rest of the season.
Well, he like stopped trying.
I know you were like so content with letting him walk, and then like he's turned out to be one of the. I mean, he'll get drafted this year, not top rounds or anything, but he'll get a good draft stock. I mean, we outgained Vanderbilt by 100 yards. We like box score watchers, like they dominated, but dude, that stat that hurts me every week is like there's 8 teams in the country that have averaged more than 6 yards per play and allow less than 5 yards per play on defense. And the combined, everybody but Auburn, the combined is like 36-4. And then you have Auburn, who's 3 and whatever we are. Like I've stopped caring about 3-7, I think now, or whatever, 3-6. Like we're probably gonna lose to ULM next week, and then we have to play Texas A&M at home, and then we have to go on the road at Bama.
Yikes!
I saw something that they're top 50 in yards per game and top 50 in yards against per game, and then they're 88th in scoring. Explain to me how that's physically possible.
That hole gets tight,
dude. I don't know.
It genuinely doesn't.
I don't know.
Sense. But I'll go through my last.
But we got a 5-star. We had a 5-star quarterback coming next year. We got.
You better hope he does.
Better hope that motherfucker is 6-star.
I mean, he's staying. He's got a good relationship with all the young wide receivers on the team. They pretty much are the ones who got him over. So we'll see.
All right, my last couple picks. My little wagon that couldn't finally did. UCF -6.
Hell yeah, dude!
Steamrolled Arizona. Arizona. Holy God, what happened with that team, man? I don't get it. They were, I'm pretty sure, ranked or right outside the rankings to start the year. They are god awful. I don't get it. I really don't. I mean, they have Fafita and McMillan. Fafita, I don't know what happened. McMillan is the most. McMillan will have like 2 catches for like 20 yards, and then the next week you'll have 24 for 260 and 3 touchdowns, and they'll still lose both games. I don't. It blows my mind. But we'll move on quick. Next, I had Florida +17. I got it early in the week. DJ Lagway doesn't get hurt. Florida might win that game outright. Carson Beck looked
100%.
absolutely terrible. I mean, like they put up points because Florida's quarterback got hurt, so they got the ball a bunch. I think he threw 2 or 3 interceptions. Carson Beck, like
3.
Yeah, 2, 3.
I thought it was 3.
I think it might have been 3.
Maybe,
Either way, it's not good. So it turned into a little bit of sweat, like Luke said, but Lagway doesn't get hurt. They got a real shot. And then lastly, I didn't say it on the pod, but late ad, I took South Carolina +3. It was just a terrible spot for A&M. You come off a huge win at home where you have to come back, and now you go on the road, night game, really hard situation. You change quarterbacks, so that it's like you're still going back and forth with your offensive scheme. South Carolina is a lot better than people give them credit for. +3. I liked it at the field goal. They leave the points at the door. We didn't need them. Give me like 20 points, so we still didn't need them. Yeah. Now that we went over what happened, we could talk a little bit about the rankings. Does anybody have any thoughts? I'll read out the top 5. We got Oregon, Ohio State, Georgia, Miami, Texas in top 5. Anybody, any thoughts? We can talk any spot in the rankings. What are we thinking? Luke, hit me with something.
At first I was against the Ohio State Georgia flip from the AP because I'm a firm believer. Like if you win a game, no matter how ugly the win is, like it shouldn't really move your spot. Like if you're like Georgia, they moved Georgia because they had a bad win against Florida, and then they bumped Ohio State up because of their win against Penn State. But it's fine. It's fine. I mean, I don't have any huge gripes with it. It's fine. As I'm gonna say, I don't love it, but it's fine. I mean, I think Texas could be 4. I kind of almost, and as I'm saying that, I almost want to. Where's Miami? 5, 4.
Yeah, Texas is 5.
Though I just don't think that the same rules apply to the Georgia win as the Miami win does, because in my opinion, Miami, like if you just look at the box score, like they beat Duke handily, but it was a comeback through the 3 quarters. Like they were fighting for 3 quarters against Duke. So I mean, this is my only gripe with the college football playoff in general, is that it's not very consistent. But at the same time, they're going to be a little bit more relaxed, especially in these early weeks, as they know they have a lot of weeks to play with, and it's 12 teams that they're trying to figure out, not 4.
Miami's also undefeated, so I kind of get that one.
Yeah.
And I get why they're below Ohio State and Georgia too, because Georgia's loss is close at Bama, and Ohio State's loss is really close at Oregon. So I kind of get that. You have any thoughts? Because I have thoughts, but it's a little bit down the pole. If you want to talk about it a little bit.
Look, the only thing I'm looking at, and I really love this team, is BYU. I think they're a little overvalued here. If they play a team like Alabama or even Boise State, you might see some problems. I mean, they ran into a decently mobile quarterback with UCF before he gets hurt in that game, and then they put in the third string, and the third string just, I know it might be second string defense, but it marches down, scores 14 points at the end of the game. Indiana might be a little legit. I'm fine with them sitting at 8. I'm excited for Alabama, LSU, because that game pretty much determines who's going to take that playoff spot. And I'm fine with Penn State 6. I know we kind of complain, but like I've got this not a weird feeling like they're going to win the chip inside of me, but not a bad team. Like if you can scheme something up that is get Warren the ball. Get Warren the ball and tell the wide receivers, like, go back to, like, old rituals. You know what I mean? You drop a pass, we're cutting your hand off. That's what you got to do at this point. I don't think Penn State is a bad team, and I think they should be between 6 and 10. I would love to see a nice classic game in playoffs, first round, maybe second round, Notre Dame, Penn State. That would be beautiful. But
I mean, I think Penn State should be ranked higher than Texas. Texas had a worse loss to Georgia than Penn State did to Ohio State. If we're going to keep it square, then I think that Penn State should be 5. I think Texas should be 6.
it's probably just the power. Like Penn State didn't score points; their defense scored more than their offense. So if you say they don't make that defensive mishap, they win 20-6, realistically. But I like where Penn State's at. I think they can make a deep run in the playoffs. The defense is really good. And and this isn't biased. I mean, I watched it every other play. Our D linemen, our edge rushers, they were getting held. And it was almost like, oh my God, like this is getting bad. The stepping over penalty was bullshit. He was literally just getting off, ending the play. They throw a flag that results in a touchdown. I think Penn State's fine where they're at. I'm excited to see Indiana actually play. Pretty decent team coming up, but I don't know. We'll see.
Really quickly, to be honest, Indiana should be ranked above Penn State. I don't know if they're a better team than Penn State, but they have a better resume because they don't have a loss. Sorry. And they've steamrolled teams. Like Penn State, they really haven't steamrolled teams. And they have a loss. I think we're probably better than Indiana, but I would not rank us above them if we're talking resumes right now. I have a really big gripe with the end, near the end. I think we can. The middle is kind of fine to me. I don't know if anyone has a gripe, but I just want to. 20. How is Missouri ranked? Give me one reason Missouri deserves to be ranked.
Yeah.
Give me
0.
one reason.
0.
Their 2 losses are to Bama by 35, and who else did they lose to? Oh, I just had it. A&M by 31. Two teams that are like good that they've played, they've lost by a combined 66.
And they beat Auburn on a final drive of the game.
They beat Auburn by one possession. They beat Vandy by one possession. They beat Boston College by one possession. Like, I don't understand what's going on. What have they done to be ranked? I just need a little bit of an explanation. They blew out Buffalo? Is that what we're going off of? They blew out UMass? Big road win at UMass. Is that what we're going to go with? Because there's nothing else on their resume that looks impressive. Unless you want to say the win versus Vandy, which was at home by one score. There's no reason to rank this team. They're not a good football team. They're fine, but they're not top 25. That's unbelievable. Even, try to explain that there's a chance that they could play their way into the playoff. It's blasphemous. If anyone else felt that way. But that was my biggest gripe, is that team doesn't deserve to sniff the top 25 right now, let alone be in it.
I agree. I kind of just I'm not wasting my time on anybody under 20 right now, to be honest with you. I know there could be upsets, but we're looking at the meat of it between 1 and 20 right now. I honestly 1 and 15, unless something seriously shakes. But
on that
note,
note,
to our picks.
Yeah, let's move on to what might happen this week.
It's time.
How do we want to do this? We want to go through let's go through a couple of the big games, and then we'll go through. We'll keep it short on the game talk, but then we'll go through our picks. Where do we want to start? Let's start with a 3:30 game. We got Georgia going on the road to Ole Miss. I got a thought in this game, but I'll open the floor first. Luke, I know you're our SEC boy, so why don't you give us your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that Carson Beck sucks. I think that Jackson Dart's a good quarterback, but I mean, he had a legacy game against Arkansas that he'll never be able to reproduce again because he's never come close to this type of statistics in his life. Georgia's got a great defense. They only allow they only average 192 yards allowed in the air per game. Their defense is just insane. Their front seven's insane. It's a lot better than Ole Miss's offensive line is going to be able to keep up with. Georgia can run the ball really well. Ole Miss's run defense is not very good. The only thing that favors them in the SEC home field advantage typically always matters, except in some places like Kentucky, Missouri, some places that just not very big and doesn't get very loud. Ole Miss will be rocking. I think it'll be tough for Georgia to go into, but I think that Ole Miss just is kind of fraudulent a little bit. They've had a couple decent wins. Like if we just I'm just going to take a quick peep at their schedule. I'm not going to run through anything crazy. They've just beaten unranked teams. The only ranked team they played is LSU, and they lost by 3. So, yeah, let's not overlook this. They've beaten teams that they should, but they're going to go against Georgia. I took Georgia minus 3.5, and I also took the under in this game at 56.5. I think it currently sits at 54.5. I'd probably still take that. They're not going to score. It's not points this week. It's going to be whoever's defense can withstand, and I think Georgia's defense is going to withstand.
Very interesting. If you don't mind, I'll go right into it.
No, go ahead.
I'm full fading Weaver. I took over at 55. Ole Miss put up 63 points. I know it's against Arkansas, but they also gave up 31. Okay, there's a lot of room for error in this game. I know we talk about Georgia's defense being good. It's just this is the spot. This is a classic SEC ball game, back and forth shootout. Beck might throw a couple picks that will put Ole Miss in the position to score, and I think it'll be early in the game. That crowd's going to get to him. And he's going to make a mistake early that might put them at the 35-yard line, sitting and waiting for a score. I really like Ole Miss here. I don't know. It's got the magic number, plus 114. The odds just got to be higher for me if I'm taking a straight money line. It has to be. And I think 2.5 is close, but I see this game going 34-31, something like that, 34-28. High-scoring game. But I took the over 55. I'm feeling confident this will be an all-time classic because Ole Miss has their back against the wall right now, playing for a playoff spot. And if they beat Georgia, they pretty much solidify that they're going to.
Taking Ole Miss.
I love it.
I'm taking Ole Miss. I think this is a classic spot of that team that needs it, man. They're like Sam said, back against the wall. This is your spot to go get it. You can't lose this game. If they lose this game, it's over. because I don't see it happening. You gotta win out here. I think Jackson Dart even said it after they lost that last game. You gotta win out. I feel like they're the desperate team here. Like I said, Carson Beck. This is a big thing for me. Even the Texas game, Carson Beck, I think 2 or 3 interceptions, didn't play all that great at all. It's just Quinn Ewers played even worse. I think Jackson Dart at home in that desperate spot. I think he's not going to throw for 515 and 6 tuds again. I'll be honest, but I think he's going to play his best game in a big spot, and I think they're going to show up. And I think I think maybe even Georgia looking past them a little bit because they got the 2 losses. Obviously they're not going to look totally past them, ignore them, like be like, oh, this is a game we're going to win, and then they're just going to sleepwalk in. But I think it's a better spot for Ole Miss, and they get them at home. I'm going to take them. I'm waiting for 3 to pop, possibly, but I'm going to end up taking 2.5 if it stays there. I love it. All right, let's move on. Unless, Weaver, you got anything else?
No, I do not.
All right. Let's see. All right, I got 2 more games I wanna really discuss. We'll stay in. Now we'll go over to the Big Ten. Whiteout game. Washington comes to town. State 13. I'm seeing 13 and a half.
Mm-hmm.
The official whiteout finally. Coming off
Actually.
the tough loss comes every year. Unfortunately, I have to say that, but here we are again. Washington, this team blows my mind every week. They outplay these teams. They have better stats, and then you look and they lost by 14.
I'm not Indiana. Yeah.
I really don't get it, man. But they're kind of a desperate team too. I mean, they're fighting for their lives in almost bowl eligibility, or just like having that season that feels good afterward. I mean, 7-5 now I know you make a bowl game, but does that feel good? I don't think so. What you thinking? Anybody have anything to say in this game?
I have a pick in this game. I have Penn State minus 13.5. I think they're going to donkey stomp this Washington team. We've seen it week in and week out with this every time. That West Coast team traveling, cross country, whiteout game, Penn State's. James Franklin's going to look to mollywop somebody after last week. That's all he wants to do. That's all that's on his mind is just murder a team. Penn State is going to come out rocking because Penn State seems to be the kind of a team that you come off that bad loss, they're still going to show out for the boys because especially with the rise of the playoffs still, and everybody's mind is now is like you cannot lose. There's not another game that you can afford to lose, and so it's going to come out rocking. Penn State's going to put up points. Washington, Will Rogers is not ready for that environment. I know SEC is an animal. He played at Mississippi State last year, but not in really any meaningful games because Mississippi State was ass. But I think Whiteout's going to get to him. They're going to donkey stomp him. It really wasn't much of a thought. I was kind of surprised when I saw it at 13.5. I kind of imagined like a 16.5 line in my mind. So I took it at 13.5.
I'm just excited. This might be a chance for them to run a couple schemes, see what works, see what definitely gets the ball moving. I know it's Washington, but got to figure something out with wide receivers. I would just chuck balls at them until they caught it. I might put glue on their gloves. Forgot your chance to run a couple not different schemes, but different plays. See if you can get the ball moving. I better beat this team by 18 points.
And Washington all year. I mean, I banned them. Don't get me wrong. I did ban them from because they are banned from being bet on
the list.
But I think they're talented. I think, especially offensively, I think there's talent there. Will Rogers, crazy talented. And everyone's like, oh, he's not crazy talented with his arm, but he makes smart decisions. And then I watch him throw a pick six every week. But I think this game,
overrated.
I don't know. This game feels like it might be like a 10-point game. I've watched Penn State lose these big games and then go next week. Even the 2017 team, which I think is arguably the best team that Franklin's ever had, they lose at Ohio State by 1 point. And then next week they play Michigan State and they lose that game to a team that went like 5-7 that year. So I've seen it happen before. It is the whiteout, so I know the energy. It's hard for the energy to be low in a game like that. So that is definitely helpful for them. I don't know. I just want. I don't even know what I want to see, but I want to see something happen. I need something to happen, and I'll know it when I see it. But right now, I don't know it because the receivers aren't going to step up. Let's be honest; they're just not good enough. So if someone steps up, honestly, I'll be disappointed because I was like, "Where the hell were you last week?" That's about all. That's about it.
Yeah.
But we'll move on. We can go through this one quick, but I think it's a fun game that I want to talk about. South Carolina, off a huge win, goes on the road to
Huge.
Vanderbilt.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've never seen a team off a big win at home go on the road to Vanderbilt and lose. It's not like Bama did that this year. It's not like Texas did that, had a big loss and then went to Vandy and only won by 3, and it was closer than even that maybe. It's a tough spot, as we learned. They're only, I think, 3.5-point favorites. South Carolina is over field goal. Vandy gets the field goal. Anyone have any thoughts in this game?
Yeah, I do. I have a pick in this game.
I do also.
I took Vandy plus 3.5. I'm very, very happy. Very happy with Vanderbilt. They're a grind team. Okay, it might have been ugly this past week, but they won the game. Like you talked about the Chiefs. Any way you win it, you win it. South Carolina just came off probably the closest thing to their Super Bowl or Jesus rising again. I mean, this was the highlight of their lives, winning this game. I think it's a humongous letdown spot in an SEC environment. Plus 3.5, Vanderbilt. Give me the points. Vandy, hit it.
Huge SEC environment. Okay, let's get real for a second.
Half the stadium's
Let's
under
get real
construction.
Shush.
Yeah, it is not a huge.
The vibes.
South
Shut
Carolina's
up.
gonna have more people in that stadium than Vandy is. Vandy's full of nerds. Auburn did a favor to fucking everybody and showed exactly how you shut down this team. I know that we lost, whatever. Diego Pave completed 9 passes. 9 passes. He's not doing that he's not winning a game against any other team in the SEC. South Carolina is going to have their absolute way with this team, and it's not even close. South Carolina minus 3.5. Don't fucking overthink it. Don't let a triple option team that's pulled off a couple of miracle wins just make you think that they're this great team. They're fucking not. I'm so sick of this. Fucking blitz the shit out of them and let Diego Pave try to throw the ball over 10 times in a game. I don't give a fuck.
South Carolina. I think that Vandy playing well against these really top teams at home has brought this line down a ton than what it would be. And I think that you can only do this so many times. You know what I mean? Like, it has to regress a little bit
It
eventually.
has to stop.
It has to regress. We have to stop this. Lenore Sellers, if you can hear us, save us. But
Lenore Sellers is a fucking animal. His ceiling is so high.
It is.
He will be a household name in South Carolina football if he continues on the path that he is on.
Man, he's high-key Heisman hopeful next year. Don't quote me on that. Well, you could quote me.
He'll be in the mentions.
You can quote
He'll
me.
be in the mentions.
So I'm leaning South Carolina. If it goes down to 3, I'd probably be all over it just because you get that field goal. But I'm really leaning towards it. I like it. And I think when you see a team win a game like the one that Vanderbilt just won, how many times do you see them come out and
Yes, we will.
all right. Well, last one to talk about. It's the big one. Death Valley, Bama, LSU.
Yes.
Bama's
I'm
catching.
so excited for this.
Bama's catching 3. I'm pretty sure it might be 3.
No, LSU is catching 2.5. Actually, Sean.
It's Bama minus 2. I meant minus 3. But is it?
Okay.
It's down to 2.5.
I just saw 2.5.
Okay, I think it's at 3 some places, but it was at 3.5 earlier. I'm pretty sure.
We're looking at 2.5.
I mean, it's a weird spot. It's a weird spot. I mean, it's not a weird spot once we get there, because we know Death Valley at night. A lot of people will tell you it's the best place to be in college football, and a lot of people are probably. I won't say they're wrong. I don't know if they're right, but I won't say they're wrong. Luke, SEC boy, open us up here.
Dude, Jalen Milroe is so mid, it's insane. He got so hyped up over NCAA 25. It is insane how mid of a quarterback he is. He's like Cam Newton if Cam Newton discovered a disability in his brain. Dude, he is so ass. Like, it is. We saw what both these teams are coming off buys, I believe. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that, but
I'm pretty sure you're right.
Off buys. Death Valley is insane. Nothing like that. Even if it was in, dude, Bama's fucking atmosphere is terrible. I'm taking the under 58.5 points. I think Nussmeier is going to shoot himself in the foot a couple times in this game. I think that Jalen Milroe is also going to shoot himself in the foot a couple times this game. LSU's defense, I want to say, in my personal opinion, whether statistics back this up or not, just purely watching ball, has a lot better of a defense than Bama does this year. DeBoer's not built for Death Valley. He's not. I'm taking just the under and 58.5. I don't love the line. Like, I want to just put everything that I love and own into LSU plus 2.5, but at the same time, like if Nussmeier just continues to make mistakes, they're not going to be able to win this game. This game's going to be a game of inches. It's going to be a rock fight. Like, it's going to be who can push that ball down the field, and I think it's going to come down to be one of those games who's going to have the ball last. So it's gonna be all time classic for sure.
We finally got our mention of rock fight on the pod. I was talking to Sam. I think that's our number one word on the podcast is rock fight.
Rock fight.
Right.
But
Rock fight.
I'm glad we got that in there.
Mhm.
Sam, what do you got? I know you got something on this game.
I actually don't.
Let me down, man.
I'm not letting you down. Listen.
Huge game. Game of the week.
Yeah,
Listen.
easily.
Look, my lean is just the money line. Death Valley. Like we said, Death Valley, I think last time I bet on them at home as an underdog, what'd they do?
I think we all did.
Yeah, we all did. That was the threesome.
Think we won. Okay. Like Luke said, there's just a lot of I'm unsure about
There's a lot of midness.
Both QBs could shoot themselves in the foot, like you said. I don't think it'll be a rock fight. I think it'll still be an entertaining game. I really do like LSU. If you guys take the money line, whatever, I might write the spread if I get another.
I lean LSU. Hard.
DeBoer's not ready for this rivalry.
This game's hard.
I'm just gonna be. He's not ready.
They're both so desperate though, because it's such a hard spot for. I mean, both off the bye.
Win or go home. It's win or go home.
Yeah, it's pretty much a playoff eliminator. Hard.
God, I want Bama to lose so bad.
I feel like this home field advantage it's so valuable. Like, this is probably top 2 most valuable spots. Like, not even stadiums, like just spot, like Bama at LSU. Like, it's gonna be the crowd doesn't get much better than that.
Only place it gets better is Bama at Auburn. That's it. Yeah, I got that swag. Yep.
I would say Ohio State.
Something wrong with you, man.
Noon doesn't count.
Well, it shouldn't be fucking.
Shouldn't be noon.
We're not doing the noon thing. We're not doing the big noon thing.
Noon doesn't count.
We're not
big noon.
We're not doing the big noon thing. I mean, it's Mid-Fro versus Garrett Fraudmiser. I saw Nussmeier throw that when he threw that pick at A&M on that little dump off pass where the guy was standing in front of his running back. I tweeted it out. It was so bad. I couldn't believe it.
Incredible.
You saw him like throw it, and as soon as it released his hand, he immediately went.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I mean,
it was one of those it's one of those where like when we played baseball, it was like you knew as soon as that ball came out of your hands, it's like this is way off.
Right
and
over.
just like, and you're immediately just like you feel it in your insides like collapse. You're gonna like
shrivel up, dude.
Yeah, you feel like a disheveled human being.
But I mean, at the same time, LSU now gets to come home off the bye, and they're fresh off. The last game they had was that loss at A&M, which they kind of manhandled them in the first half. But at the same time, why did they struggle in the second half against A&M's offense? Because A&M brought in their quarterback that can run the ball, and Jalen Midrow, he's a good runner.
Midrow,
he is. He gets himself into trouble when he has to throw the ball. Throws a good deep ball, but once you force him to throw that intermediate throw, that's where some of the problems come into play. I don't know if
AR-15 almost.
Please, Colts, start Richardson this week, man. I'm begging.
This is college football.
I'm begging him.
Leave him alone.
I don't care. Just start him. I probably won't touch the spread on this game, but I'll definitely watch it. And I lean LSU. I think if LSU covers, though, they're going to win this game. I don't think this is going to be a 3-point Bama win. I think it's going to be Meyer's going to shoot himself in the foot a couple too many times, and Bama's going to win by a touchdown, or LSU's going to win this game outright. So, be fun.
Somebody's winning.
Someone might win this game.
Someone's going to win.
Someone might win this game. I don't know. Someone might lose, too. But who else do you think is going to win this week?
I got two more picks. I got Colorado minus 3.5 against Texas Tech. I think that Texas Tech is kind of the Colorado would be a heavier favorite if Texas Tech didn't beat Iowa State. But I kind of like the spot that this at. Colorado's is starting to figure some things out. They had a bad loss against Nebraska, but besides that, they've kind of been a good team since. I think they're going to put it together this week and beat this Texas Tech team pretty handily. Then I'm not going to ever stop betting on them. Never going to stop. Indiana minus 13.5 against Michigan.
Damn.
Never going to stop.
All
Can't
right.
stop. I'm surprised the line is only 13.5, but Indiana's got it.
It's that look ahead spot, man.
Yeah. I'll come out hot here. I have Texas Tech plus 3.5. Heavy fade. Colorado lost to Nebraska 28-10, but they also lost to Kansas State. Texas Tech, their T-Vets has gotten better, and they beat Iowa State. I mean, maybe a little fraudulent, but they're definitely better in Colorado, Iowa State. I would back myself up on that with money. If those two played right now, I think Iowa State wins that game by 14. My other pick I have is BYU Utah. BYU minus 3.5. I'm baffled by this. I don't know what the hell is going on. BYU's beating good teams. UCF, Oklahoma State, Arizona, Baylor. They kicked the shit out of Kansas State, 38-9, and SMU, who just steamrolled Pitt. I mean, this BYU team is pretty decent. Here's a little tidbit for you. Houston is 1-4 in conference play, and guess who lost to Houston? Utah did. Utah also lost to Arizona State, Arizona, Baylor, and Northwestern. Okay. Cam Rising also out indefinitely.
Good. He's terrible. Move on. Get a job.
This is a slam spot. This is a slam spot for BYU at minus 3.5. I have no idea why this is so low. That's all I got.
Low because that BYU, it's gonna happen eventually, man. I'm done fading them, but it's gonna happen eventually. I got Texas Tech plus 3.5.
It's all right. It's okay. I want this. I want this between us. It's good for our listeners.
Here's the thing, and I this is gonna make sense to me, and I know it's not gonna make sense to other people. I think this is a bad spot for Colorado. I know they're the ones off the bye, and Texas Tech is off a huge win. I think the spot is that everyone that they're chasing in the Big 12 last week, besides BYU, lost. And so they're thinking, oh my God, we're sitting pretty right now. We just got to win out. Like, look at these games we have. Like, we can win out and we can make the Big 12 championship. And I think they might overlook Texas Tech a little bit. Not my most confident pick of the week. I ran the stats a little bit, and I kind of like the matchup. I sprinkled a little bit on the money line, too. It's not my dog of the week, and it's not a pick, but I did sprinkle on the money line. Next up, Boston College money line.
I love that.
I got them at minus 120. They're at home against Syracuse.
I almost took that.
Boston College off a bye. Like, I was back on what I just said about Colorado, but they're off a bye. Last time we saw them, they should have beat Louisville. They were winning the entire game. I bet on them that week too. They should have won that game. They were winning the entire game, and then they blew it at the end. Thank God they still covered for my sake. And then Syracuse just beat Virginia Tech in a game that they probably should have lost. BC is going to be able to run the ball. I like their quarterback. I like his mobility. Plus, they get him at home. I just like the spot for them there. You guys want me to go on my dog of the week or?
Sure.
All right. My dog of the week is also a pick for me. It's an ugly one. It's a really, really ugly one.
I love it ugly. That's what I love.
Kansas.
I know what it is.
+3.
I've been seeing this.
At home against Iowa State.
Isn't dog of the week just money line?
My dog of the week is the money line, but I also have him as a pick at +3.5. At +3, sorry.
Yep.
Kansas's running game is severely underrated because they're 2-6. They have a really, really good running game. And if you can run the ball on Iowa State, you can. Their run defense is not great. They can slow down the pass. That's why a lot of their games are very low scoring. Iowa State off a really tough loss. They have to go back on the road to Kansas. Kind of a lowly spot. They're like, oh, okay. We get to go play Kansas now. Maybe overlook them a little bit, not think about how good their run game is. I think Kansas will be able to run the ball. And I think they're going to come out on top. Unfortunately, I am betting on Kansas again. Last time I bet on them, they lost on a touchdown with 10 seconds left to West Virginia, another team that I can't figure out this year. So if Kansas loses this game, they're banned. So a little bit of extra motivation for the Jayhawks. Who wants to be on my ban list?
All right. My dog of the week should be no surprise to anybody. Not a single surprise. LSU.
Yeah.
Plus 120 money line over Bama.
Mhm.
DeBoer is not ready for this. He's not ready to walk into Death Valley. Season on the line. He's not. He's just not. As a coach, he is not. He's going to make the wrong calls. He's going to put them in bad situations. He's not ready for this environment. Yes, they took a big win over Georgia this year at home. Don't care. Grain of salt. He was not. Yeah, he may have gone to a college. He may have gone to a freaking national championship or whatever with freaking Washington. He ain't ready for this. He ain't ready for big boy ball. He ain't ready for big boy SEC ball. Like, this is the games. This game is the one that people will skip weddings for in the South. You're a LSU or Alabama fan, and somebody has a wedding on Saturday. Ring, 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 ring. Hey, I'm sorry, but I can't make it to your wedding, man. Like, I can't. Hangs up the phone. They're not. It is going to be. I know we talked about this when they played. Who was the one that they took? Why am I tripping? Why am I blanking on it now?
Ole Miss?
When we all rode and all that. Was it Ole Miss when I went to OT?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not gonna happen. I mean, no. He ain't ready for this. He ain't ready for this big boy ball. He ain't ready for that down south dirty ball.
That real analysis. Skipping the weddings, man. He ain't ready for this.
I came out of the woodworks for this one. I really like it. One team, their season's virtually over. They're going to miss the playoff. 23. Clemson is going down. Virginia Tech enter the Sandman.
Oh, that's a
at
fun
home.
one. That's a fun one.
Plus 195. Okay, Virginia Tech knows how to score points. They had a one letdown week, 21-7, whatever. They scored a lot of points. I think they're averaging about between 27 and 30. They played Miami, who's ranked 5 right now. You know what the score of that game was? 38-34.
Yeah, you tried to convince me that it was that Virginia Tech won on that Hail Mary.
They did. Anyways, Virginia Tech is not a rollover team. I think Clemson down in the dumps. Their season's over. Perfect spot for Virginia Tech to come in and have the game of the year. Just beat a ranked opponent at the end of the year for shits and giggles. Take it home. Plus 195.
I hate Virginia Tech because I didn't. This isn't a pod pick, but I did take their over season win total at 8.5, and it died as soon as they lost to Vanderbilt. Like it was just dead. They lost week 1 to Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's just they've broken a few dreams on this podcast. We'll just say that.
Yep.
All right.
All right, fellas and lady fellas.
That's all our picks. Please give us a like, give us a follow.
Follow
the
the
Twitter.
socials.
Maybe follow the Twitter. You might see a couple picks. Might add some on there. They might win, they might lose.
Couple
But
tape ticklers.
we're gonna have some fun along the way.
We might
man.
throw a Ben K parlay in there too.
We probably won't do that.
All right,
but
fellas.
thanks-
We out of here for real.
thanks for
We outta
sticking
here.
around. Well, guys, we'll catch you next week. Hopefully, we win some bets. 52%. We'll see you there.
If you didn't go out and vote today, you suck. But that's it.
Yeah, that's